Welcome back to WCS America Premier League Group B action, where our Australian Terran player just won Group B, as he is going to be the first player advancing to the round of 16, which means that we will fly him out here to California to compete offline, Nate, where things are going to get even more fancy and spicy and extra super duper awesome. But for now, we have to qualify one more player. It could be our Chinese Brothers player Jim, but it could also be the Korean Zerg, the legend himself, NesTea.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that the group has ended up this way. I do not think anybody would have predicted the group to go out this way. Even if you said Aigis, if you told someone yesterday, be like, I'm from the future, I know Aigis will win. They'll be like, oh, he comes out in second place, maybe over Jim or NesTea. But it's like, no, took out Alicia and then took out Jim. 2 Protoss players in a row. Alicia, the favorite for the group, has been knocked out, and now we're left with just NesTea and Jim to duke it over the final spot out of this group. We might not even have a Protoss get out of this group today.
I know, that would be sad. Since we don't even have a Protoss yet in the round of 16. Of course, we're only 2 days in. Yesterday we had a Zerg and a Terran qualify. Now we have another Terran qualify. Now I suddenly understand, Nate, why your win ratio have been going up so much. Anyway, we're just waiting until the game is hosted. It shouldn't take too much longer. Of course, we want to thank everyone who's been tuning in and everyone who's been reaching out to us as well. Especially a lot of Australian tweets.
Yeah,
Nate.
A lot of Australians seem to be happy for some reason. I can't imagine why.
They're all getting out there. Hashtag WCS is, of course, the hashtag that we use for every single broadcast. We want to hear what you guys think about the games. We want to hear if your fantasy team is not perfect anymore, just like mine. I'm a little bit sad. Hashtag WCS. Of course, you guys, you can always follow us as well on twitter.com/ESL, facebook.com/ESL, facebook.com/StarCraft, and twitter.com/StarCraft. It's beautiful. Do you like them all? Do you follow them all, Nate?
I think I do.
I think I do too. Already for years.
Yeah, it's been following from a very long time.
So our final series of the day is going to be played between Jim and NesTea. Now they already went up against each other earlier today. Back then NesTea was Jim won 2-0, but both games, they were a little strange. Both games, of course, game number 1 was very, very dependent on the cannon rush, as NesTea was left with like 8 workers. And
I mean, both games were pretty heavily influenced by the cannon rush.
Yeah, game 2, you could say that NesTea in a certain moment actually found himself a position that he could work with. Well, because the moment you're up to like 70 workers and you have 24 middlers, then you have a real game.
Yeah.
Then I just think NesTea made additional mistakes. Game number 1, it was pretty much all about the cannon rush. And game 2, I think it's going to be, game 2 in the previous series, it was influenced, but that was sort of just NesTea making a mistake. However, it was still a strange game. I do not think that NesTea is going to go hatch before pool again against Jim, as you just don't really do that once.
Yeah.
And often people do feel really good about getting, a second chance or of a revenge. When you lose the first series of the day, especially when it was in such a strange fashion, then you're always super eager, super pumped. You're like, if I play him again, it's not going to happen anymore. I'm not going to lose like this.
I would like to see NesTea mix it up a little bit. Although, I guess in that regard, I'm also... Do you think Jim's going to open up with Forges in this series against NesTea? Or
I think maybe game number 2. I don't think he's going to do it in game number 1. Now, we don't know the maps yet, guys, so that makes it a little more difficult for us. But as soon as we know the maps, then it actually makes it a little more, or possible for us to make accurate predictions, as we are still waiting for the map veto process to start or a game lobby being hosted. However, I don't think that he's going to do it in game number 1. I think he's going to be opening very safely, maybe with like a 13 gate and just 1 base fast expand.
Makes sense.
Also, it depends so much on the map, because I'm pretty damn sure that Jim has been watching the broadcast when he wasn't playing. So he saw Alicia go up against NesTea, and he also saw NesTea suddenly going a little crazy with his 12 pool speed opening of 1 base, and that kind of stuff that's so hard to deal with if you go for greedy expand builds.
Yeah, I would really like to see how he plays out in the later stage of the game, Jim. If he's going to stick to that, like the only semblance we really saw of his PvZ late game was that Colossus Void Ray composition, which he was able to nimbly transition into a heavy Stalker force to deal with the Mutalisks. But I wonder if he would go for that normally, if there wasn't, is that going to be like his actual focus, or are we going to see maybe Immortal pushes in this series?
Yeah, like some of the builds that Jim loves to do, we haven't really seen yet either. So like the story that I went on with that little rant about, NesTea not losing a real series between brackets. It's always silly to say that, because of course every single competitive series in StarCraft 2 that's being played is real. But it's not like he got outplayed all over the board, and you know, like every single thing that they tried to throw at Jim just didn't work. It's like, no, NesTea was never even really in his comfort zone. He was not able to play a normal game, other than maybe for a minute on the second map. Even that was so short that the single mistake was just immediately game ending. However, Jim has a lot of variety in his builds as well. Now, a lot of his builds are based around 2-base play in PvZ, and he had a couple of really unique builds. Now, we all know like the 7-gate or 8-gate with a Warp Prism, just warp in Zealots and have an Observer.
Yeah.
And then you have the Immortal Sentry all in. Or you have the Immortal just Zealot all in. But Jim had like an in-betweener of having like 3 Sentries, then having Immortals with a Warp Prism, and then also having a few Zealots and still relying on the Zealots as reinforcements, which was really weird because it hit later than the Zealot Immortal all in, which allows Zerg players to drone up. But then it hits even quicker than an Immortal Sentry all in, even in its quickest possible form. Even if we put parting behind the keyboard, Nate, it still hit like a solid 45 seconds quicker than that. It was a really weird build. It's like Immortal Sentry relying on Zealots, and Jim made that build work in the past against some of the best Zerg players out there, like Jaedong.
Yeah.
Even against Life, he did something a tiny bit similar, which was a little bit different. Either way, we are, I think, almost good to go, Nate, which is good news for us. So you guys don't have to listen to us anymore. But of course, let us know what you think is going to happen. Hashtag WCS. We want to hear from you. Apparently, it's like 10:30 in the morning right now in Australia. And then they said, guys, we drink either tea or beer. That's what they told us.
Oh.
But
Well, those make sense.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
It is a bit early in the day for that, though. I don't know.
At 10:30, I would go for tea.
Tea sounds good. I haven't had tea in a very long time, so
Me
it'd
neither.
be a good, refreshing experience.
I used to live with the Muslim in Germany. He made a lot of tea.
In America, we're all coffee addicts. It's the truth.
And okay, never mind. I want to say something terrible. I'm not gonna do it now.
All right. Well, the veto process is underway. This is a very important best of 3 for both of these players. Just one best of 3.
We can actually talk to you guys about the veto process, as Jim has just vetoed Foxtrot Labs. NesTea has vetoed Catalina, as first Catalina was being hosted.
People just don't seem to like Foxtrot Labs that much.
No, I can understand.
It's a very different map.
I'm actually a little bit surprised that Jim vetoes it. Now, to some pros players, that might sound really silly because they might be like, "Oh my God, Roddy, have you played PvZ in this map?" And I have to say, like, no, actually, I haven't really played a whole lot of PvZ on it yet, so I can't say. But knowing the kind of pushes that Jim likes and his crazy 2-base strategies, I feel that out of the current maps, that it would perhaps work best on Foxtrot Labs. But it's also really hard to hide information on that map. Maybe that's why he doesn't like it.
That's true. I mean, 2-player map. Well, I guess 4-player, but cross spawns forced means you'll always know where the other player is. Scouting's a lot easier. But looks like the first map, we're going to actually start off on Merry-Go-Round again. Yeah. Has every series started on Merry-Go-Round this today? Almost everyone.
I think Alicia and NesTea didn't start on Merry-Go-Round, right? Nah, we didn't see Alicia and NesTea, but I think the other ones, you're correct, Nate.
Yeah. They played on, Alicia and NesTea was dead. They played on Deadwing and... They played on Deadwing and Overgrowth.
King Sejong.
King Sejong, right.
With the Banelings. Alrighty, so the first map is going to be played Merry-Go-Round, second Overgrowth, like Nate said, and our last map, if necessary, is going to be played on Deadwing. You know, you're casting a gym series when the Protoss is very, very eager to say, like, yeah, first map, Merry-Go-Round, let's go. Because this is still traditionally considered a pretty tricky map for Protoss. It's you know, it's not a great Stargate map because Protoss units can't really fly around the main base. Above all, your third base area is so extremely wide open that it's really hard to drop good force fields. I know every player loves hearing that in Twitch chat as well. You know, it's just difficult. That's why often you see Protoss players go for 2-base styles like this, like we mentioned already. And I think that this is going to be Jim with Immortals, with a Warp Prism, and with a very, very quick attack.
Yeah, I get it. I can see it. This map, I'd love to. Maybe we'll even get ye old Chinese player proxying a robotics facility towards your base.
Max
which would be cool.
Max it on Tal'Darim. When your 7-gate goes on for so long that you know it's not going to work anymore, but you're like, you know what? I just can't transition.
Someone did do that recently, though.
Yeah, I know.
Was it I Am Shenzhen or was it Challenger?
But I don't think it was a robot. It was something else. Wasn't it like wasn't it like the Terran version of proxying the robo?
No, I feel like I remember on this map a Protoss proxying one on the edge of creep, actually.
A robo?
Yeah.
Ah, yeah, but he was already dead, right? Yeah, I think I remember the game.
He was pretty much dead.
On the south side of the map, on that ramp.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, that's right. He was so far outnumbered. Either way, we are finally loaded in the final series of the day. We apologize that took a little longer than expected, but we had a lot of fun hearing from you guys. I'm still a little bit bummed out about my ESL fantasy team, Nate.
Yeah, we just got another tweet coming in from the Fantasy League admin. He says, the predictions for all groups. 50% of you picked Alicia, 28% of you picked Jim, 15% of you picked NesTea, and 2.83% of you picked Igas. Well, 2.83% of you are probably very happy right now.
Yep. And they're all looking at us. They're like, it was such an obvious call. These casters have no idea what they're talking about.
It's like, how did they not know that Igas was secretly training in the hyperbolic time chamber for like 5 years before this match actually
That's
happened?
where the beard came from. Anyway, Invictus Gaming, as Jim is, of course, our Chinese Protoss player spawning on the 6 o'clock position of merry-go-round. And he's indeed opening up with the gateway in his main nade, which I'm not surprised by. And over here on the left-top side of the map, we're going to have NesTea representing the GEM agency as our red Zerg.
Yep. And NesTea is going to go for a hatch first. He shows no fear in the face of danger.
No. It's like, yeah, you kind of rushed me twice, but how many times can you really do that?
Yeah, so you can't rush me every game. He did drone scout though, so he's got that going for him, which is nice.
Yeah, but he could have also changed his mind like he did against Alicia on King Sejong Station. Now with these spawning locations as well, of course, it's going to be very nice for Jim to use this little area as a staging ground for a 2-base push, get a pylon over here, and then just move forward with a Warp Prism Observer. I'm really expecting just a 1-gate fast expand, followed up by a quick robo, followed up by Immortals. Oh, NesTea, you did this! This is deja vu, Nate. This is like,
man.
This is a mirror image of the games, you know, how they started off in WCS America 2013 Season 2 Challenger back then. Or maybe it was even Season 1 Challenger, because I think Jim was already, the Challenger was before. I don't know what it was.
NesTea is a crazy man. He is a crazy man.
He's taking
his gas too.
He did this against Jim on this map, Neoplanet S. He did it against Neoplanet S, and then Jim just took down a hatchery and then he killed him. And then I think it also happened on like Ohana or Belshore or something. And then Jim just killed the hatchery and walked across the map and won. So it's either NesTea has forgotten about that, or he just thinks that he can still make it work. This is the last thing I expected to happen.
Yeah, these kinds of blocks are always interesting. The probe's going to move out to do a little bit of scouting, and this hatchery shouldn't be able to finish, right?
No, he's not going to let us finish. That would be a silly mistake.
He's going to evolution chamber block? I guess that probably shouldn't finish either.
This is going to be it. This drone is going to go away. But it has the job well done of slowing down this Nexus. So it is going to slow down Jim's economy a little bit. We're going to take a look at the worker count. That's 24 against 23 workers. Of course, NesTea slows himself a tiny bit down by this as well. He loses 75 minerals, and above all, he spent 225 minerals in the face in the game that he could have been spending it on something else. You have to look at it from that point as well. But still. Okay, so if I wasn't sure yet about the robo before, then now like I'm feeling like super sure about my robo. It's up to you, Nate.
You can dig it. He's building sentries. How many sentries is he gonna get? Is he gonna take his natural gas, or is he just gonna go mega zealots with this?
Well, that's the thing. Like knowing Jim, he's going for I don't know. Well, let's just first see if we do see the robotics facility. Otherwise, we are casting this like. Oh, it's a Stargate. Wow.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well.
Oracle.
I'm not going to make. Oh my God! This Overlord survives as well with 2 HP. That's really frustrating for.
Only to die to potential Phoenix later on. This Zergling tries to run in, doesn't get to see anything. Of course, on this map, it's difficult to get scouts off because you can't hide yourself at the edges of the bases. So.
A really quick layer for NesTea over here. A 6-minute layer against a Protoss player, while also still being on 2 bases.
Hydralisk den if he's got Zerglings on the way.
Yeah, I have the feeling that he does want to go Hydra.
Yeah, that makes sense. He still doesn't have his 3rd base though. 2 base with a layer. He hasn't taken the rest of his gases, or has he? Oh, now he's taking them.
I think, by the way, what is going to be a real problem for NesTea is that he definitely does not expect a Stargate. I don't expect a Stargate. I don't think you expected a Stargate. And I definitely don't think that NesTea is expecting a Stargate. So this Overlord is going to fly in and most likely pick off 5, 6, 7 drones, because the only anti-air there is Queens, and Queens don't really kill Oracles all that fast.
Yeah, the Zerglings managed to slip by.
No, Jim!
Slips by the sentry. He actually should be able to kill the sentry and a good number of probes to boot. This is very nice for NesTea. Jim suddenly in an incredibly awkward position.
This is really bad for Jim. This is a terrible scenario for Jim. The Overlord, the Oracle is making its way across the map. A Spire is being wiped in. NesTea, I don't really like the Spire either. If you do this amount of economical damage, just cancel the Spire and go Hydralisk, NesTea. That would be so much better in every possible universe, even in yours. And I know you create them.
Yeah. He's still focusing down a few more probes with this Zergling getting kills left and right. This Oracle zooming through only has 3 worker kills, now 4.
Yeah, miscontrolled there a little bit by it. No, Jim.
Oh, he really can't afford to lose this Oracle, and he does. Only killing 5 workers. He's lost 10 probes. These Zerglings are still looking for an 11th kill.
Wow. These Zerglings actually kill 10. Okay, this is just... Oh, terrible scenario for Jim to be in, taking so much economic damage as
There's
a
the
two-base
Hydralisk, by the way.
Like, he might let the Spire finish, but then just not use it. I'm gonna be legitimately sad if NesTea decides to make like 6 Mutalisks now. Because that would just make absolutely 0 sense to me. I want to see Groove Spines on the production tab. I want to see Hydralisk. You can cancel the Spire or just let it finish and keep it there just in case. But you want to make Hydralisk now, and that's exactly what he's going to do.
All right, there's the Groove Spines upgrade coming in. That Spire he can keep in his pocket for later. Some Overlords are going to finish up relatively soon as well. That will open the supply to begin producing those Hydras. And there's nothing in this army that beats Hydralisks right now. There's absolutely nothing. The Phoenix can pick off 1 by 1. I don't even know how that Zergling got in there, but he's been hiding.
There is a robotics facility on the way, but it's going to take a long time before the Colossus will be out. The only thing that can work for Jim is if he gets like 4 Phoenixes and he starts picking off Hydralisk 1 by 1. You know, if they make their way across the map 1 by 1. Of course, Hydras, when they're exposed, they're not very good. Jim, NesTea is still getting +1 flyer, and I really don't like that, but that's just me.
He really likes Mutalisks, huh?
NesTea is like as poor as Jim is, by the way. It's hard to imagine. Oh, Jim, you got those Phoenixes. You're so poor. Very, very tense game 1 over here of the final series of WCS America Group B. There is so much on the line, so it's obvious that both players are a little bit nervous. He's attacking Nate, but not with a whole lot of Hydralisk. And this is exactly... Okay, I think what NesTea is trying to do over here, Nate, is he wants to make an attack. He wants to give Jim the idea that he's going to defend, but he just wants to kill Phoenixes during this attack.
Yeah.
As NesTea is so set on going into Mutalisks that I think all he wants to do is kill Phoenixes.
And he's preparing to move in. I love this tweet from Root Igas. 2.8% of people are geniuses. Just had to make sure we get a mention for that one out there. But he's actually pulling back away from Jim's base.
He wants to kill the Phoenixes, Nate.
Yeah.
Because if he doesn't, he's going to be in trouble eventually. NesTea's on 60 drones now, but... Man, it's the same Phoenix that keeps taking the beating.
Yeah, he's going to go for a 3rd Nexus. And he's moving into Immortals. His +1 attack is done. He's getting a robotics base. So Jim's got pretty much what he needs at this point, I'd say. Right?
Yeah, it's a really confusing game. Like, I think if NesTea wouldn't have had the Zergling run by, he would have been so much trouble. Because I think then Jim can control his Oracle in all peace. Of course, like, we were a little bit critical about his Oracle movement, but there was a lot going on. There were Zerglings in the main, Zergling in the natural. Like, hey, my Oracle would have probably been over here in the right top side of the map, not doing anything. So it was a lot harder than controlling that Oracle in a peaceful environment, where the only thing you have to pay attention to is the Oracle.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. +2 attack is on the way for NesTea. And he's got his Hydralisk speed now, so he can chase these Phoenix off creep, but he can't actually kill any queens with these. These Hydras are a little bit, you know, they're on top of things.
So I think what NesTea is going to try to do is just like let the Corruptus, fourth base, let the Corruptus suicide on the Colossus, and then hope that he survives the fight with some Hydralisk. And these Hydralisk with the +2 upgrades should be able to rip through the rest of this Protoss army, but it's risky, especially because there are Voiders on the way as well, so Corruptus is going to have to choose. You know, either they will all die immediately, but they will take down the Colossus, or they start working on the Void Rays, but then, you know, at what cost? Because they will all die.
Yeah.
I mean, if they start working on the Void Rays, they might kill 1 or 2 Void Rays, but then the Colossus is going to kill all the Hydras, that's what I mean. Contaminate being used, really love that.
Oh, that's awesome. Delay the Colossus.
Yeah, that's smart.
I mean, if he was looking to attack soon, that would be very useful. Well, slightly, I guess, you know, it's still useful, but he's getting 6 Overlords now, so he won't have to worry about supply anymore.
If I was Jim, maybe like get another cannon. I really like the 2nd cannon. I would even like to see 1 more. These cannons actually do a little bit of damage to Corruptus, unlike most Protoss units, other than Void Rays and Archons, of course.
Yeah, Corruptors are pretty difficult to kill, to say the least. But this is still a very powerful force. I feel for both players. Jim finds himself just slightly supply blocked. He's got some pylons finishing though. Want to know what else he's going to put out. Just continued Colossus Void Ray. But now that NesTea's maxed, he has an opportunity to try to make something happen.
Yeah, it's 69 drones against 65. NesTea has slightly better upgrades, but Nate, this is just one of those traditional PvZs where, you know, Zerg has one attack to completely overrun the Protoss army. And, you know, if he kills all the Void Rays, if he kills all the Colossus, yeah, then he's in a great position. He remaxes on Roach Hydras and he wins. If Jim somehow holds this fight and he doesn't really take too much damage, then I think NesTea is going to be in so much trouble, so that's pretty much dead, because it's going to be really hard for him to make a comeback.
I like that he's trying to engage away from where the Photon overcharge is, though. The army is starting to spread out. Void Rays come in, Prismatic Alignment activated. First Colossus is dead. The second Colossus gets targeted, hit with the Corruption ability as well, so the Hydra is still allowed to fire behind these Roaches, and the Immortal with no support left for it. He's actually just picking up all the Hydras with his Phoenix. He can't even kill them, but the Roaches step forward. He's not able to kill the Colossus.
I would have loved to see NesTea just run into that natural, work on that Colossus, work on the robotics facility. Now instead, all of these units will just die against these units that got picked up. Very good move, or good use there of Graviton Beam by Jim. And, well, that went pretty damn even, Nate, but in the end I feel it's okay for Jim, because he has all of his Void Rays still alive. And how does NesTea have the gas or the money in general to get so much anti-air out that he can actually make another attack against all those Void Rays? I don't think he has.
No, that's starting to look really good, and the Phoenix are still alive as well. Those Phoenix had a huge hand in holding that push.
Yeah, man.
Because you pick up all the Hydras. Yeah, the Phoenix can't kill the Hydras if they're all lifting, but then those Void Rays, man.
The Void Rays survived.
That's the alley-oop right there.
And he killed all the Corruptors. Now NesTea's making 17 more drones. That's so many drones. What? He's gonna go up to 90. Okay, and I have the feeling that he's gearing up for a Mutalisk switch, Nate, because I feel that's like, okay, he fires up Enduring Locust. I still think he wants to build up a bank and then maybe go into Mutalisk. I think that's his best chance.
Yeah, Mutalisk makes sense. It's a pretty NesTea thing to do.
It's gonna be very hard.
More Corruptors, though.
Yeah, but like, you know, even when he gets these 2 additional Corruptors, he's gonna have 10 Corruptors. I don't think we want to see what happens when 10 Corruptors start fighting 7 Void Rays.
No, it's gonna be pretty bloody.
Yeah. That's PG-13.
These Roaches all rustling their ways over.
They are pretty rustled.
Yeah. This is, if you imagine like what Roaches would sound like walking, it would just be like a drumming sound.
It would be intimidating. 111 alarms army supply against 109. Which obviously is a good scenario for Jim. Recall being used just for a couple of Roaches running by. The Roaches might actually get a Colossus here. Now they do not want to go for it. Force fields will go down now. Oh my
NesTea's
god.
Roaches in. They are forced to take this fight, and with this many forces here, they're all dead.
Someone asked me about the highlight plays of the day, Nate. This recall by Jim, this short distance recall, but then still leaving a few units to force with those Roaches as well. That is definitely a highlight play. It's going to be really hard right now for the Swarmos to somehow defend against this, because, you know, we have 3 Colossus, we have 22 Stalkers with +2 upgrades as well. They even have Blink. I'm afraid that NesTea just lost a few too many units there. Great force fields by Jim, absolutely phenomenal.
Yep, now these Void Rays are going to come in. We're going to get to see that that distorted fantasy of Void Rays going against Corruptors, and yeah, it looks about as ugly as you'd imagine.
Yeah, actually he uses Prismatic Alignment way before the battle ever starts, so I'm not sure if I'm really digging that. The static defenses from NesTea are actually doing a really good job in trying to hang in there, trying to buy time for a few more Locust waves, but I still don't think it's going to make a difference, Nate. The Stalker Ball is incredibly huge. The Observer will fall. The Void Rays are not aligned right now, so they will do a little less damage, but even when they're not, they still murder Corruptors, so
yep,
doesn't really matter.
More Hydras are coming out, but against 3 Colossi, well, Hydras are hilarious. This Spore Crawler actually doing a lot of damage to these Colossi. It's like, yeah, please, like, yeah, you should kill them. I know they're weak, but you should kill them before, you know, you kill everything else. And this is pretty much it for NesTea. Yeah, the supply looks ahead for him, but this army is just so cost ineffective versus this many Colossi.
The army is not going to cut it. NesTea also has 20 more workers. These Hydras will die, and Jim is just moving forward. 11 Roaches are on their way, but not even that is going to cut it, as there are still a couple of Void Rays idling above these Colossus as well. So Jim, despite having to deal with a horrible Zergling run by, losing 11 workers, and having a stack revealed, is actually still making it work and is still able to win this game. Yeah, I just didn't... I don't know. kind of a crazy game, Nate. I feel that NesTea should have gone all out crazy on the Hydralisk follow-up immediately, and I think that could have hit very hard and would have been really hard to deal with. But he gave Jim a lot of time, and if you give Jim time, then apparently will know what to do against Zerg, Nate.
Yeah, man. Jim, I have to say, I thought he was in a really tough spot in that game, and the way that he recovered, the way he pulled it back and got in, I'm just impressed. It didn't seem like it was a really good position for him when I look at it. You know, I'm a Terran player, but I look at the PvZs and, hey, he lost a lot of workers. That Oracle, you want to do a little bit more than just 5 worker kills at the start of the game.
Yeah, 5 is okay if it wasn't for the fact that he lost 11 at home.
Yeah, yeah.
And also, this was like one of the best Oracle case scenarios. You know, an Oracle is flying into an exposed mineral line. There are only queens. And, you know, even 2 queens, if the Oracle is only focusing on drones, it can still take down a solid 8, 9, maybe even 10. Because queens, yeah, they will eventually kill the Oracle, but it takes a little while. You know, it's shot. As long as there are no spore crawlers, Oracles are supposed to do quite a bit of work. Pretty crazy game with a weird opening by NesTea regardless. Not only the hatch block, which has now worked, well, still 0% of the time. He has now tried it 3 times against Jim, and none of the 3 times it has worked. So I don't think we're going to see it a 4th time. However, both players are ready. Jim only 1 map win away from making it to WCS America Premier League round of 16 for the first time actually in 2014. Of course he did it twice last year, but it feels like ages ago.
Yeah, it does. It does. It's been an interesting, it's really crazy how fast this year has gone by. And as far as WCS goes, it feels like it's been moving very quickly. But it's time to find out if Jim's going to be able to close this one out with this next game. We're playing map number 2 of this best of 3 on Overgrowth. We're already loaded in, and if he, like we said, if Jim wins this game, if our blue Protoss in the bottom left, if he wins, he is off to the round of 16.
And that would also mean that we will have 2 non-Koreans advancing from a WCS America Premier League, while there were 2 Koreans in the group as well. And without even checking up statistics or going over things, I can tell everybody at home that this would be the first time in the history of WCS America that we have 2 non-Koreans advancing over 2 Koreans. That has just never happened.
Yeah. I would believe that without even checking the statistics on it. It's been a really great set of games. Fantastic from Aigas and fantastic from this guy representing Invictus Gaming, the Blue Protoss. Jim.
Okay. Last season was a little rough for the IG guys. Normally they always had 1 or sometimes 2. One time even 3 players qualifying for the round of 16. I'm not sure if they ever had 3, but they definitely had 2 multiple times. And of course, Maxed, Jigua, and they had other people participating in Premier League as well. The last season, the only Chinese player that made it to the playoffs was Tutming.
Yeah, Tutming did really well. I'm excited to see him again this season, actually.
But Tutming, of course, not a part of IG. But Edison was still here. To translate, of course, big shout out to Edison, the manager of Invictus Gaming.
He's always just a cool dude.
He is super cool. He's always watching. He's always around, and he's really
secretly
fun.
You're like, man, I really hope at least some of these Chinese players get to the round of 16 so we can hang out with Edison again.
Yeah. If Jim makes it, Nate, there's a very good chance. Of course, Jim is the youngest one of all of them. It's hard to imagine, but Jim is like 10 years younger than Maxed or something close to that.
Wow.
And Maxed is like
I was
27.
not aware of that.
Yeah.
Jim is really young.
Either way, it's going to be a hatchery first once more for the former incredible Miracle Zerg. Now just representing the GM agency, it's of course NesTea, still hailing from Korea. Tournament Live is on the line. He made it to the round of 16 last season, Nate, and everybody was kind of hoping for that miracle NesTea run, because it would have been so beautiful to see NesTea make it to a quarterfinals or maybe even make it to a semifinals. That would make everyone's heart beat a little faster. But it's just going to be very difficult for him in this day and age of StarCraft 2. Everybody's so incredibly good at the game.
Yeah, everyone's improving at such an alarming rate. It's pretty sick. It's pretty sick. NesTea's got a long way ahead of him. This tweet from @DrekUT, watching WCS, stuffing my face with chocolate, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. #ThugLife. Is that the Thug Life, Ronnie?
I'm not sure, Nate. I'm not sure if I would consider that Thug Life. Then again, I'm not sure if I'm in the position to determine
are we in a position to determine whether or not what someone's behavior is Thug Life?
I'm not very talk. Every now and then I roll down my windows and I play some gangster music, but that's about as talk as I get, Nate. Other than that, I just sit at home and I play games, so I'm not too much of a badass.
All right, well, this probe moves out. There's been a lot of chrono boosts actually put into Warp Gate by Jim as these Zerglings try to chase down this probe. First gateway being added on. Second gateway, is he going to go up to 4? Oh, he will.
Ah, okay, but this is not really one of the scenarios where I think it's fantastic, because he didn't even see the third hatchery yet. And NesTea is also a play that will open up with speed the majority of the time. On paper, this build works out really well for NesTea, especially when he just runs into the main base with 2 Zerglings.
This would be like, you have 1 gas, bro.
Yep. And
I know what you're up to. And they might even kill a probe.
I don't think he's going to kill Pro, but he gets the biggest scout off that you could possibly wish for. He's getting a Roach Warren as well. I don't think that's even necessary, because just Speedlings alone is more than good enough against just a simple 4-gate. However, Roach Warren is definitely a nice nail in the coffin. And I'm not sure what...
He does have a pylon up, but against 20 Speedlings, like,
Yeah.
are you really going to do anything? Like,
The only
really?
thing that Jim can do, Nate, and this is actually kind of reversed, but Jim doesn't really have to force the fight. Jim can just keep NesTea on 2 bases and be like, yeah, make Zerglings, make more Zerglings, keep making Zerglings. But Jim has to start building probes again at home, because he's not going to win the game with this. So Jim, you need to fire up some probes.
Yeah.
Jim is not firing up probes. There's a Zergling counterattack as well on the other side of the map.
Oh, the sentries! Very
Blips.
weak.
Zealot, it's the bodyguard.
Yeah, but that means less zealots at NesTea's base. It makes things rough.
That's fine, because he's not going to win with this anyway.
Oh, those roaches coming out. He's moved a lot of those Zerglings away. Is he going to
Yep.
try to flank this or
Gonna
just
try
counter?
to counterattack once more.
Yeah, with just 1 zealot, maybe he could break it, could he?
Yeah, but Jim shouldn't go for too many offensive weapons anymore. You know, you could always say like a time warp will allow the zealots to get on top of the roaches, but it's really not worth it. He actually gets a stalker, so Jim is committing to this a little bit more and more. The stalkers will of course do very well against the roaches off creep. NesTea, now you kind of need all of your units, and you also really don't have to fight off creep. He should still be able to defend.
He's trying to get one of the queens is down, and that's one of the queens that actually had enough energy for a transfuse. The Zergling trying to hit the stalkers from behind, but the zealots are in position to defend against this.
God.
There's no recall, so he's about as committed as a Protoss can be.
Yeah, eventually the stalkers will die, eventually the zealots will die as well. If we take a look at the worker count, like I said before, the most important thing is for Jim that he just keeps building workers, Nate. He's down, he's even on bases, and he's down 7 probes, or he's up 7 workers. That's basically like a scenario where a Protoss player has just killed the 3rd base of a Zerg and also took down like 8 drones with him. This is still really good for Jim. The only thing he doesn't have is tech, but NesTea doesn't have an economy, and NesTea doesn't have any tech either, so...
Yeah, just a Roach Warren. You're not going to break a Protoss on 2 bases with slow roaches. He surrounds some of these zealots, so at least killing these would be nice, but I mean, the zealots at least trade.
Very interesting to see a 4-gate work out like that against... I guess the fact that NesTea's only on 2 hatcheries just makes it worth it in and on its own itself. It changes everything.
There's not a lot of economy for NesTea.
Yeah, because normally if you do that, even if the Zerg is still on a low economy and is forced to produce so many units, in the next 45 seconds after the fight, they have so much freedom that they will fire up like 25 workers by the time that you build like 6 probes. So by then, you know, Zerg is still going to be in an okay position if you're sitting as Protoss on 2 bases, don't have a massive economy, and also don't have any tech. But if Zerg is on 2 bases, it all makes so much sense. It's a really smart play by Jim. I didn't even really think about it. I wonder if he thought about it. I guess he did. This is Jim.
Yeah, he's already getting an Immortal now. Halfway done. He's got +1 attack on the way. And with how late the tech, you know, kind of is for both players, do you think he could just do it with 1 or 2 Immortals, just push? Or he's still banking energy on those sentries?
I would say go for it. 2 Immortals, why not? 2 more gateways being added, 3 more gateways being added. He's on 7. Come on, Jim, 1 more. 8 is the magic number. I'm gonna go for 7 gate.
Lucky number 7.
Oh, that's right. 7 gate +1 with 2 Immortals.
I mean, 7 gate +1 is 8 anyway, right, Roddy?
Very funny.
That's my one for the day. I'll stop talking.
You just let yourself go real soon. Just sign off of the broadcast, Nate. Don't really say anything anymore. There's a counter-attack over here for NesTea, but he's not really going to be able to break this pylon. There's a defensive cannon as well. The Hydralisk then is about to finish up, but I don't think that it's going to be in time. There's plenty of force field to work with. There are 2 Immortals to take care of the roaches. There's no creep over here on the left side. It's going to be extremely difficult for NesTea to defend this. You know, perhaps it's possible if he somehow is able to squeeze out enough Hydras. There are 6 on the way already, Nate, so he's working with something, but he needs more than just 6 Hydralisk.
He's going to need a few more. He's starting to get pylons up. Needs a warp in or two if he wants to break this. If Jim can win with this push, if Jim can break NesTea right here, he will advance to the round of 16 for WCS America Premier League Season 3. This is a very important attack, and it's also very important for NesTea to hold on to this as he can still keep his hopes alive, although he does need to win this fight and the next game. But first force fields are plopped down. He's going to kill off these roaches, and with these force fields, oh wow, did he really just kill the mothership core?
Yeah, he killed them.
Zealot flank on the right side.
Oh, the force fields are very real though from Jim over here. Even though one of the Immortals is not shooting on these roaches yet, the second wave of force fields was phenomenal, Nate. And I actually think that this is going to be it for NesTea.
That Zealot flank was so sick too, and Jim just bowls him over. Damn.
No economy for NesTea to work with. The tag was very late as well, and these kind of builds are already very difficult to defend in a normal straight-up game when you have the economy that you want. And if you don't have the economy that you want, it's borderline impossible. Guardian Shield being popped as well, and it seems like for the first time in 2014, Jim is going to make it to WCS America round of 16. He did it twice last year, and this time, Nate, he's finally able to do it in 2014 as GG is called. And we have two non-Koreans, an Australian and a Chinese player, advancing in WCS America Group B over two Koreans. And that is the first time in history. We made history today, Nate.
Today was an awesome group. I looked at this group. I said, okay, we kind of talked about this before the broadcast. And, we try not to be biased. But I was like, look, man, Alicia should easily sweep both matches and go straight out of this group. I'm super surprised that he dropped. I figured, NesTea could surprise. But I still like Jim, especially because of his recent performance at the Intel Extreme Masters Shenzhen. Like, he's just been on fire lately, so he should be able to get out of the group too. Aigas, yeah, I like him, but I don't see him as he doesn't have the results of these other players in this group. And on paper, he's simply not supposed to win. But coming out in first place, this was definitely a group of upsets, and I'm really glad that for the second group in a row, we've got some non-Korean players advancing.
We now already have the same amount of non-Koreans as we had last season. Last season, we went through 8 groups, and in the end, we had 13 Koreans and 3 non-Koreans qualifying for the round of 16.
Yeah, that's right.
We had Tutming, we had Major. Who was the other one?
I thought I can only think of Tutming and Major off the top of my head.
No, I think we had 3. Let me just take a look.
Was there another?
Shigwa.
Yeah, Shigwa. Yeah, there was another Chinese player.
So last season we did have Shigwa as well. But now last season we went through 8 groups, and then we had 13 Koreans and 3 non-Koreans. Now we went to 2 groups, and we have 1 Korean and 3 non-Koreans. So the non-Koreans are fighting back, Nate. That's super awesome. Let's just take a look at all 8 groups of WCS America Premier League round of 32. As so far, we wrapped up Group A and B. Yesterday, we did see Hyun advance, and Ni being the runner-up. That's very awesome. Our North American Terran Hope. And today, definitely a shocker seeing Alicia, who was doing pretty okay for himself in the WCS ranking. Only ranked 22, still had hopes of making it to BlizzCon. That's going to be very difficult for him now, Nate.
Yeah, he really needed this season of WCS to get through. Looking forward, guys, we are going to have on Monday, August 4th, Holt, Oz, Jaedong, and Max said this is the one. If you guys go on Reddit, you guys talk on Team Liquid, like, this is the group of death. And it's hard to disagree.
Yep.
Jaedong has been hungry for tournaments for so long, but he has just been, it just feels like he just gets stopped. He gets hit by like a truck every time he gets close.
Yep, a round of 32 has been the nemesis of Jaedong this year in WCS America. And there is a very good chance that it's going to be difficult for him once more, as Polt, Oz, and Max said, in theory, all have what it takes to take out the Dong. It's going to be an amazing group. That's just one WCS America broadcast you don't want to miss. It is going to be happening on Monday, August the 4th, which would be noon Hawaii time, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, and midnight for you Europeans. It's going to be late, but it's going to be worth it, because it's going to be sick on Monday. Monday is going to be a true StarCraft 2 party, Nate.
Monday is going to be incredible. So this has been an awesome broadcast. I want to thank you guys again, those of you that tweeted at us with the hashtag WCS. Your tweets got on stream. Did my best to try to make sure when they popped up that we let you guys know we appreciated you reaching out to us, because it makes the in-between match times a lot more funny as well. And we get to see your guys' feedback and of course, everything that you think about WCS, because it's, you know, we had some pretty good groups so far.
No, I couldn't agree more, Nate. And if you guys wonder, Roddy, why are you never reading the tweets? That's because my eyes are too bad to actually read the preview monitor. Every now and then, if I like squeeze them really big, and I do wear contact lenses, I have no idea. They're just getting worse. I think I have to go back to my store and like, it's like, hey guys, like you gave me these things, but
You gotta recalibrate your eyeballs, man.
I still can't read very well. Anyways, it's been a lot of fun hearing from you guys. Of course, we always go over the tweets in the breaks and whatnot. Make sure to give StarCraft a follow, like you said, Nate. Twitter.com/StarCraft and Facebook.com/StarCraft. 3% that predicted Igus to win WCS America Group
You
B.
2.83%. You guys did it. You're the real MVPs today.
They are the real MVPs. Thanks everybody for watching and have a good night.